knowledge. One, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting to which this certification applies, and two, only such business matters as were identified in the motion concerning the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Honeycutt, a second from Mr. Palmer. Roll call.
Mrs. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell? Mrs. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes. Now, if you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, I believe we have some, do we have some recognitions this evening?
Very excited about when we will begin with the School Board Association Business Honor Roll, and we have Mr. Cyphers that's going to work with us on that.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Nichols, and school board members. Tonight I have the privilege to recognize some local businesses in our area. The Mecklenburg County School Board recently recognized 3 local companies for their strong support of the division schools. The companies were honored as part of the Virginia School Boards Association 2017 Business Honor Roll program. The program is in its 3rd year, gives school divisions a way to say thank you to local businesses and recognize them for their valuable contributions to the schools. On behalf of Mecklenburg County Public Schools, its students, school board members, administrators, and staff, we would like to express our sincere appreciation for all these businesses do for the children of our community. And when I call your name, if you'll come up, and Ms. Height's going to give you a certificate, and we'll ask if you'll stand over here by our artwork, and the folks from the press will take some pictures in just a minute. All right, we first like to recognize Ms. Kim King. She is the Director of Community Relations with Benchmark Community Bank. Next, we would like to recognize Mr. Austin Puryear. He's the manager of Crop Production Services. And we would also like to recognize Mr. John Lee. He's the president of Mecklenburg Electric Cooperative. Thank you.
And as the pictures are being made, I want to specifically add to Mr. Cyphers' voice that all 3 of these companies are working with us very diligently on the development of our digital tiles from business and industry to let our students know about careers that are available in that area, and with our career centers, and have donated considerably to our efforts, and we do appreciate them so very much. Thank you. We also have results from our spring art contest, and Ms. Height and I think Ms. You're coming, okay. Rogers is going to present these.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Nichols, school board members, tonight Ms. Rogers and I have the privilege to introduce some students who participated in the Virginia School Board Association art contest. And we have 3 people who have their art displayed tonight that we would like to recognize. And before we do that, too, I'd also like to give a shout-out to Linda Davenport. She owns the Galleria in Clarksville for being the judge for the artwork. So a special thank you to her. So 3rd place in the elementary division, Talia Pulliam. We'd also like to recognize a participant for the middle school, Ella Patton. And a 3rd place winner in the high school division, Logan Tim. don't think he was able. We'll make sure that we get this to the building principal so that he can be recognized. Thank you.
And I believe Ms. Rogers is going to address our regional medal winners for Young Writers Contest.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Back in November, we were contacted by the Piedmont Area Reading Council to participate in a Young Writers Contest. The email was sent to all schools for participation. It was simply a voluntary thing that teachers could do. I would like to recognize at this time Kathy Crowder for being the only teacher who took on that initiative. So if Kathy from Clarksville Elementary would please come forward.
And Ms. Rogers, while you're doing, if I could remind the people that are being recognized to stay
Yes.
long enough for us to get around and meet each one of you.
You can just stay right here for just a minute if you want. And from Ms. Crowder's class, she submitted, all of her students participated in this writing activity, and she selected the top 3 and sent them to the council to be judged. They were judged by local judges in that area in Lynchburg. And from there, we had 2 students who placed for regional medal winners. So we want to recognize those students tonight. We have Lindsay Gregory. She received 3rd place in the 2nd grade poetry category. And Dalton Whittington received 2nd place in the 2nd grade poetry category. Do you want to read, Dalton? Do you want to read yours? I've asked Dalton, he brought his book tonight. I've asked him just to pick one of his favorite poems to read to us tonight.
Cookies, they smell like chocolate, they taste good with milk, they sound like quiet chewing, they feel like soft dough, they look yummy to me.
Thank you.
Now, I know when we get into the next of our recognitions, the Teacher of the Year, we'll have lots of teachers. Do you want to recognize these students before we do the teachers, or you want to wait for everybody? Do it all, okay. Then, our Teacher of the Year, Ms. Alga.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, Mr. Nichols. Last month, faculties at each school within the division honored one teacher in their building as the Teacher of the Year. The criteria for selection included the teacher's involvement in school, professional, civic, and/or extracurricular activities, but more importantly, the selection of the teacher focused on how the teacher inspires all students, collaborates and engages with colleagues, students, and families to create a culture of respect and success, and demonstrates leadership and innovation in and outside of the classroom walls that embodies lifelong learning. Teachers selected for this honor are, and if you would please come forward when I call your name, from Chase City Elementary School, Marta Gonzalez-Hips. And I know already that she's not with us this evening because they are having a concert at Chase City Elementary School, and she is the music teacher there. But just a little bit of information about Dr. Gonzalez-Hips. She has served as an educator for 39 years, with 16 of those years with Mecklenburg County Public Schools, and she currently teaches music to all the students at Chase City Elementary. So we'd like to congratulate her. Clarksville Elementary School, Mrs. Shirley Madison. Mrs. Madison is completing her 40th year as an educator with all of her years of teaching experience at Clarksville Elementary School, and she currently teaches 4th grade. Congratulations. From La Crosse Elementary School, Stacy Newell. Mrs. Newell has served as a teacher for 10 years, with 3 of those years teaching in Mecklenburg County at La Crosse Elementary. She currently teaches 5th grade mathematics. Congratulations. South Hill Elementary School is Catherine Height, and Mrs. Height is unable to be with us this evening because she's involved in a production in Lunenburg, the Addams Family, so I promised these folks that I'd put in a plug for them, even though we're missing them this evening. Mrs. Height has served as a teacher for 16 years, having taught at South Hill Elementary School for the past 4 years, and she currently teaches music to every student at South Hill Elementary School, so we want to applaud her. Bluestone Middle School is Katie Duffer. She's unable to be with us tonight because of an unexpected occurrence. So Mrs. Duffer has served as an educator for 17 years, with all 17 years at Bluestone Middle School. She currently teaches 8th grade language arts. So congratulations to Mrs. Duffer. Parkview Middle School was Mr. Ray Cherry. And Mr. Cherry's involved in the production, The Beauty and the Beast, in Clarksville. So all these folks are having their rehearsals, so they're unable to come and be honored, but we're excited. This is why they're Teachers of the Year, because they're out in the community doing so many other things. Mr. Cherry has served as a teacher with Mecklenburg County Public Schools with all 22 years in at Parkview Middle School, and he currently teaches art. Bluestone High School, Catherine Jackson, and I think I said her here. Ms. Jackson has served as a teacher with Mecklenburg County Public Schools for 5 years. She's at Bluestone High School, as I've already mentioned, and she teaches dual enrollment history. So congratulations, Ms. Jackson. And Parkview High School, Mrs. Tiffany Lynch. She could please come forward. Mrs. Lynch has served as an educator for 10 years with Mecklenburg County Public Schools, and she currently teaches 11th grade General English at Parkview High School. So this outstanding group of educators represents 159 years of teaching, wisdom, and experience, and we're grateful for your dedication, your hard work, and your total commitment to these children and to the success of our schools. You make all the difference. You truly do. So we thank you and we congratulate you, but I don't want you to go anywhere just yet, but I do think that they deserve another round of applause. I so appreciate being here. Thank you so much. On Friday of last week, we honored our Division Teacher of the Year, who was selected through an interview process conducted with Dr. Majette, Mrs. Height, Mrs. Tina Chipman, who was our former Division Teacher of the Year, and myself. After our day of learning more about their passion for teaching, and it was evident in every single one of them, and the wonderful experiences of these outstanding educators in our division, and you couldn't help but see it in everything that they said and did all day long. It was a wonderful experience for all of us. So you can imagine the decision, how difficult that was for us. But the final decision was Mrs. Tiffany Lynch. She is our Division Teacher of the Year. Congratulations. So we totally surprised her, and she was definitely shocked when we arrived at Parkview High School on Friday morning. So again, congratulations to all of you, and thank you again for all that you do. So appreciate it, and thank you.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere. And then we can go.
And I believe we'd like to have the students come back up so that the board can recognize each one of them and shake their hands. Don't go anywhere, teachers.
Yeah. Everybody hang around, and if the students can come back up. Ella Patton, I see you. Ella Patton, to the front, please.
Huh? I hope somebody will speed this thing up. You get that guy over there, quit talking. He congratulated the same girl 3 times. Tighten him up, man. Oh, his ass can go in 1 year too. We don't pay attention.
Thank you very much. And now I guess we're ready for superintendent's report.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. We're going to let some of them exit. It is. Okay, I'm going to ask if Mrs. Rogers and Mrs. Height will come back up to talk with us about the federal program allocations for titles 1, 2, and 3 and 5.
Yes, good evening again. It is that time of year. The applications were released a few weeks ago from DOE, and as you know, we present them in May, and they're voted on in June because they are due to the DOE by July the 1st. So tonight you will see for Title I, there are some changes to the application this year, and this is the year of transition to ESSA, so the application looks a little different. One of the things you might notice is a lot of blanks. They are not requiring all of the same information that they have in the past, and if your application hasn't really systemically changed from last year, you don't have to fill in a lot of the same information. So as you look through and you see some of the blanks, that's the reason for that, and we just wrote no changes. The one change that I did make to kind of our instructional program is that at the elementary level, we are looking at trying to make a stronger digital literacy focus, looking for programs that will help bring in some digital literacy for our elementary students. So that has been written into the grant this year. Midway through this past year, when we got the allocation, the actual allocation for Title I, we had quite an increase that we weren't expecting. And so we spent that money last year, this past year, on some additional tutors to help our students, on some substitutes for professional development, on professional development. And so moving forward to next year, we're doing some of the same, as well as adding in this digital literacy piece as well. So you'll see the budget breakdown, the description of what we're doing with each of those funds. And as you look through the application in the next month, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call. Any questions tonight? Okay.
Good evening again. As Ms. Rogers stated, my applications are very similar to hers in the fact that lots of it will be left blank because the application lends itself to do that this year. So areas that are blank will be, no changes will be listed in there. For Title II, my current allocation is about $19,000 less than was from last year. The majority of the budget for Title II is used for 3 teachers and their salaries and their benefits. We also use this for professional development. And with the new ESSA standards, there's a new formula. And last year, the private schools got $800 and some odd dollars. This upcoming year, in this application, you will see they get over $6,000. So I had to adjust my budget accordingly. And to tie it in, I will let you know that some of the things that I removed out of Title II, I was able to move into my Title V application. So just did some shifting around so that we would still have professional development. One thing that is new in the application this year is one of the forms is a GEPA statement that we had to put in, and it's General Education Provision Act, and so that was completed in both the Title II application as well as the Title V application. If you have any questions after you read over all of this, please don't hesitate to ask, and I will try to give you as much information on it as I can. The Title III application is a current application, and this is, we received $2,500 extra dollars this year, and it's to be used for immigrant youth, so this application had to be revised to account for that money. So that's what this application is about. We will use this money for tutoring and for necessary things for our immigrant youth. So if you have any questions about that, just let me know. Title V, this used to be Title VI, and with ESSA it has changed to Title V. Again, the application has the opportunity for you to just go in and write no changes. Allocations have not been distributed for this year, so I just go on the funds that I have available now, and once it comes down, then I have to adjust the application. Primarily what this is used for is accelerated reader, ESL parent meetings, curriculum writing and assessment writing in the summertime, and a lot of professional development and workshops and travel. So that's what the Title V is used for. And again, I had to do the GEPA statement in this one as well. But if you have any questions in the next month, just shoot me an email or give me a call, and I'll do my best to answer your questions concerning these title applications. Any questions at this time? Thank you.
Thank you.
And Ms. Height won't go very far because we have each year the opportunity and the need to update various codes and policies that we have. And she's been working with the disciplinary committee and the administrators in the schools at updates to our discipline policy. And so, Ms. Height?
Yes, sir. Thank you again. On April the 22nd, representatives from the schools met to discuss the code of conduct for the upcoming school year. And then on May the 5th, Mr. Nichols, Ms. Rogers, Mr. Palmer, Mr. Sturdivant, and myself, we also met to go over the things that we had reviewed at the April meeting. In the document that you have available to you, I've tried to highlight the things that we're looking as our recommendations for change. There are also a couple of items that are in blue, and the items that are in blue are things that we're asking to remove. Again, all of these are just recommendations, and so we encourage your feedback on this. The Code of Conduct is a document that serves as guidelines for our school division. There may be topics that are very broad in language, as it gives principals the discretion after completing their investigations for various disciplinary actions. So this is a draft form, so if you have any information, but I'll be glad to go through it with you. At the beginning, we are adding the new motto and the mission statement at the beginning. Mr. Nichols is going to be making some revisions to his letter and so forth. We're also going in and adding lots of language that supports our division's mission for moving our students into workforce and career readiness. So we are discussing things like dress code and cell phones and things like that, and the fact that it's appropriate behavior to practice while you're in the school building. So that kind of language has been added. There is information on page 19 that is updated about cell phone policies, where we changed the verbiage to in use as opposed to visible. On page 23, there was some discussion about using the word abeyance and maybe parents not understanding and everyone not understanding that. So we changed the words to say a student should not attend school during the appeal process. We thought that might be clearer for everyone to understand, and we're trying to make this as clear as possible. On page 29, we discussed adding string bags and gym bags in addition to our current book bag policy that we have. That is a recommendation on the table. On page 33, we added a sentence in there that would comply with Virginia High School League, so that way students would know how much time they had to attend in order to play sports. That was also repeated again on page 34. Also on page 34, with the input from Sandra Wingler-Jones, who is our truancy officer for Mecklenburg County Public Schools, the statements that you see in yellow on that page are at her recommendation, because she does serve as our court liaison as well. So those things added on that page were at her recommendation. Also on page 36, you will see the new truancy procedure schedule that has come down from the court system as well. And so she has tried to make that very user-friendly, and she's added some things in bold so that it will be easily understood at all levels. And then the last thing is the dress code. There is a statement in there on page 39 about having a standard code for dress. And then our actual dress code policy, we are taking out the word dress at the beginning, where it's talking about the stretch jeans and jeggings and so forth, and making those items fingertip length, but a dress has to be no shorter than 4 inches above the knee all the way around. We also added, excuse me, jeans. Trendy jeans now have lots of rips and holes in them, and so we're saying that if they're wearing those jeans, they have to have their skin covered. That has been an issue this year, and we decided to address it in writing in our policy. Another trendy item that young ladies wear now are these off-the-shoulder shirts, so that was added as well in our dress code policy. Other than that, the rest of it was just dates and so forth. Any questions? Yes, okay.
On page 29.
Yes, ma'am.
At secondary level, book bags, string bags, and gym bags kept in lockers. It's come to my attention that especially at Parkview Middle, there's not enough lockers to accommodate the
Yes, ma'am.
students. And do we really need to ban book bags, string bags, and gym bags from being carried around?
We had that discussion around the table, and the issue with Parkview Middle School did come up, and the people at the table that were there felt that we needed some type of guidelines for that, but with the understanding that Parkview Middle may have to use their own discretion because they do not have enough lockers in their gym to support the string bags that the students would carry. So that's definitely something that we will have to have some more input on.
Currently, it's my understanding, having talked with Dr. Rydell, the use of the string bags is supposed to be specifically for the gym
Gym
clothes. And then they go in and out from the locker, their main locker, with the clothes issues. Dr. Rydell, you want to add any more to that?
To and from the gym,
Right.
because they don't have enough
There
lockers
was
in
some
their
comment
gym.
about maybe trying to put more lockers in, but we literally don't have enough room at Parkview Middle School to put more lockers in.
Ms. Height, is it the gym, or Dr. Ryder, is it the gym lockers or the regular lockers we don't have enough of?
The gym
gym
lockers.
Gym lockers.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Question. Ms. Height, on page 19, I just want to point out that the Children's Internet Protection Act requires all network access when students are in our buildings. They need to use our filtered connection. And that if your child has a cell phone and they are using your personal connection, they are in violation of our policy. And the reason for that is that we need to protect what they have access to when they're in our school buildings. So please communicate this to your child who may be using a personal device, that they're bound to use our protected service.
And I'm glad you brought that up. I've had some discussion with Ms. Hatcher, who is in our technology department, and have asked for input about our bring your own device policy with this in mind. So that may be another revision. And I will tell you that any things that we come up with after more discussion about book bags and this right here, I will put them in writing and send them out to you before the next board meeting so that you will have that information.
This is the month for more updates from the board.
Right. Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Has there been any discussion about changing or adding some language as far as the fighting, as opposed to maybe primary aggressor and someone is trying to defend herself? Because I think currently they both get the same punishment.
No, but that's something that we could certainly discuss. And not necessarily do they both get the same punishment. I think it depends on the investigation that's done by the building principal to determine who gets what.
Okay, because I mean, I've just had parents tell me their kid has been investigated, determined they were defending themselves, and still got suspended from school. So I was just wondering if there could be some language added in to.
We can certainly look at doing something like that. But it typically, the punishment may be different after the investigation. But I can certainly look into that. Yes, sir. Anybody else?
Yes, sir. Please, yes, ma'am, please. And the only other question I have, and I'm sure you all have talked about this, with all of the issues with the new clothing and everything that's involved with that, has it been a discussion in that committee, in the discipline committee, about going to a uniform for school to eliminate all of these problems?
Not at the meeting that we had recently. That has been a discussion in past years, but it did not come at the meeting that we had on April the 22nd, no, sir. Or the one on May 5th either, no, sir.
That would probably be a discussion that would need to originate from the board level,
Okay.
from my level, to make a recommendation to the board about moving in that direction. But I'm confident it would raise a lot of conversation in the community before a decision was made.
Recognition.
Well, I just know the issues that we had at the beginning of this school year, and it was many. And I just, I know a lot of schools in the area are going to that, especially across the line, going to uniforms. And the last few years, I mean, again, it took them a little while to get used to, a couple of years to get used to, but it's working out great.
And I will tell you, at our meeting and at both meetings that we had, we did pull code of conduct from lots of other school divisions and reviewed multiple policies that they have in place and put them up against ours as well. Not just the dress code, but it was a whole host of other topics too, so that we could see that we were, at least kind of in line with what other divisions were doing as well. And even outside of our region, we looked. Any other
If I
questions?
may make a comment regarding that, the uniform situation has been around for many years, and I'm not sure how that would actually fly in the county. Those of us who have been around like myself for so many years, it started up, well, I won't even try and say what years it was, but it's been around for a while. I'm not sure how it would go, but it has been tossed around.
It has.
The discipline code, as well as the code related to tardiness and absenteeism, are items that the state is taking a new look at for our accountability issues. This is becoming more and more important all the time for us to be able to do right. And I've mentioned before, but will mention again as we're looking and asking you to look at this a second time before we take a vote in June, that it's our goal to make this process one that is also a part of the students being best prepared for successful careers in the 21st century world of work. There are expectations of business and industry related to such things as being able to get to work on time, being consistently at work, that are directly impacted by the way we engage students in being tardy or being in school regularly. There are issues related to how a person at their job knows how to behave in interacting with other people, understands the ramifications of misuse of social media, working with whole issues of how to dress appropriately for the job, and get along with other people. So it's our goal to connect for the students and for the parents and understanding that what we do in school is preparing those students for those places, and that there can be ramifications for not doing it that are not just because we want to punish for arbitrary rules, it's because there's a preparation part that's in place. And so we do work on this, and that will be reflected, and as we continue to take into account the conversation that's been held here tonight, we want this in place early enough. One of the things that I heard last year when we had many conversations with parents and students about particularly the whole issue of dress code is that parents purchase clothes earlier than the end of the summer. And then if they don't know what the expectations are in our handbook, they've spent their budget. So we want to have these things in place and for parents to know in time that they take them into consideration until such a time as we decide on a uniform or some uniform measures. They do need to know in plenty of time what to expect for the next year. Any other questions from Ms. Height?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Height. And we will vote on this next month, so as you have questions through the month, let us know. And we'll update you as we have that in place. Okay, Ms. Moore, we would like to have your information on school lunch price increases that's coming down from the federal government and a follow-up conversation on our child nutrition meal, unpaid meal balance.
Okay. Good evening, Chairman Ritchie, board members, Superintendent Nichols. I would like to present the increase in school lunch prices for 2017-2018 to you tonight. The PLE Paid Lunch Equity Tool was sent out to all food service supervisors to complete for the 2017-2018 school year. School food authorities that charge less than $2.86 for paid lunches in school year 2016-2017 are required to adjust the weighted average lunch prices. Based on the guidelines of the tool, the school food department must increase our school lunch prices for the 2017-18 school year by 10 cents. This increase is a mandatory increase by the Department of Education in order to comply with the Healthy, Hungry, Free Kid Act of 2010. The tool calculates the school authority's new lunch price based on last year's unrounded lunch price and the per meal increase of 4.64% in the adjusted inflation rate. There is a 10-cent cap in each increase each year on school lunch. With the new 10-cent increase, paid lunches will be $2 for students. Our current paid price, our lunch is $1.90, reduced lunch is 40 cents, and adult lunch is $3.05. Proposed new price for 2017-18, lunch will be $2, reduced lunch will be 50 cents, and adult lunch will be $3.15. Our recommendation is that the school board adopts the new lunch price for 2017-18 school year. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening again, Chairman Ritchie. Board Member Superintendent Nichols. I'd like to present Policy EF-R to you tonight. USDA is requiring all participating participating school food authorities to develop a written, consistent, and transparent meal charge policy or standard guidance by July 1, 2017, and to communicate the policy to all students and households by the beginning of the 2017-18 school year. In your package, you will see policy EF-4, students with insufficient funds for school meals and delinquent accounts in the school nutrition program. This policy details procedures for resolving balances for students with insufficient funds for the school meals and delinquent accounts in the school nutrition program. The policy is for information in May, with a proposed vote in June. As you review the policy over the next month, please feel free to contact me if you have any questions and/or suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. And I know that in the next part of my typical comments, we usually have a lot of time. I will tell you that tonight's comments will be brief because we've come to the end of the school year and we've got so many other things that are going on.
Patient.
We're not going to be doing that tonight.
Okay.
We don't have that tonight. I'm sorry, I had marked it but hadn't notified you all. So back to my comments, the primary comment that I want to bring to your attention tonight is, as I mentioned at our last meeting, I am putting together a committee for working and getting input from the community and the school staff on the planning of the secondary schools and the things that need to go into it as we are moving forward with the Board of Supervisors and land selection and hopefully moving quickly to the opportunity for us to hire architects, and we want to be ready for that. I am asking the board to identify, and Mr. Ritchie, I guess this will come to you as determining how. I would like to have 2 members of the board to serve on this committee as we move forward. So I don't need that tonight, but through the month, if you would poll the board, talk to the board, and determine 2 members that would serve on that committee.
And is this just for some very general planning?
It's
at a
to
time?
get input from representatives from each of the schools, the counselors, administrators, not all of them, but representatives from each of them. We will have representatives from from the committees that are working with each of the career centers that we have planned. There will be a couple of members from the Board of Supervisors that will be asked to be on it. I have a representative that is a recognized rural education expert that knows so many of the things that are coming down from the U.S. Department of Education for rural schools, as well as an architect who does not build K-12 schools, but builds others, that has spoken with us, and members that will serve on this. And as I get the committee together, I will let you know. But I would like to have 2 members of the school board that would serve on it as well.
Okay, we can talk about that.
And that's it for my remarks this evening.
I don't have any further remarks, so we can move to the committee reports. Do we have a report from the Joint Education Capital Improvement Committee?
No.
Did you, the only question I have is I saw in the newspaper that they talked about hiring, y'all chose a engineering firm to,
Yes.
and who will choose what land they look at, or how will that be done, I guess?
They're doing it out a system. They're using a globe GPS or the GIS system.
GIS.
Yeah, the
Okay.
GIS system. And they're going to look at the total county, and they're going to narrow it down from there to specific sites. And then from the specific sites, they will narrow it down and recommend one.
Okay, but you'll have input again?
You'll have more than, yeah, we'll have
You'll
more.
have more
We're going
in-
to have other meetings. I mean, it's
Okay.
not over yet, no.
All right.
They're just doing the study now, and I think once they get to a certain plateau and get a group of sites together, then I think they will have another meeting, and we'll sit down and look at those.
All right.
Then we'll go again.
Thank you. Finance Committee?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee met today at 4 o'clock, and we got reports from Ms. Moore about the school lunch price increase and also the unpaid meal balance new policy. We had several questions and had those answered. And we did review the bills, had questions answered there, and we will have recommendations prior to action on those items.
And I believe we might want to have some comment about the supplemental appropriations that was mentioned.
Do you want Ms. Puffer to
Ms.
do that?
Pfeffer, yeah.
Is she still, Ms. Puffer?
Oh, we just said.
Good evening, Mr. Chairperson, board members, Mr. Nichols. I've requested that permission to ask for a supplemental appropriation to pupil transportation. We received $9,050 in monies for salvaging the buses and the cars, and we want that appropriated to transportation so that Mr. Mayhew can use that to buy equipment.
Okay.
So that will
And
come
we're
out
voting
as
on
a-
that. That's an action
it'll be
item.
As an action item. I just want to make sure if there are any questions, the board has time to.
Does anybody have questions? Thank you.
You're welcome.
The Gifted and Talented Special Ed Health and Family Committee, no report. The CT Career and Technical Committee, no report. And Athletics Discipline Committee?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. We do have a committee established for working with the young men in our county. We did not meet this week, but however, we will reschedule and have another meeting in the near future. When we have that meeting, I will bring back information regarding the meeting.
Okay, thank you. All right. I think we are to our public input session. Madam Clerk, do we have anybody signed up to speak?
At this time, matters may be publicly brought to the attention of the board and administration. Public comments at board meetings are just one of many avenues for communication, and the board recognizes and appreciates the importance of input from and communication with the public we represent. The public is invited to sign up to speak. The clerk of the school board will write down your name, contact information, and the topic that you wish to speak about. The public is allowed up to 6 minutes at most meetings to express their views. Please respect that time limitation. It will be enforced. Please understand that it may not be possible to immediately respond to questions. As a reminder, it is inappropriate at a public meeting to make personal attacks, to be defamatory, or to disparage individuals or identifiable groups. Again, we welcome and appreciate your input. Prior to beginning your comment, please state your name to the board. Is Miss Sarah Scott here? Okay. Tricia Tucker. Beverly Bow. Bow, sorry.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. I
Good
always
evening.
wanted to call you by your first name. I've known you for so long. Mr. Nichols and other board members, I just want to be a woman of my word. I said 2 months ago that we would come back and give you a brief update on what we've been working on to develop the youth leadership program for Mecklenburg County Schools. And we, as Mr. Palmer mentioned, we have met one time with the Athletic and Discipline Committee. Had a very good dialogue. It was just a great starting point. And so we just took off running. But I want you to know who are the worker bees. I have 2 other people, along with myself, that have been working diligently on researching leadership programs that are already in existence and just being a think tank to look at this program from a broad perspective. So my uncle is one of the members, and Howard Mitchell, a wealth of experience in the corporate world and also teaching on the college level. The other committee member is Dr. Sharon Lyles. She has her doctorate in psychology, and she's done just so much research and We're always Googling and everything, and the third person, of course, is me. And we all have experience teaching on the college level, which I'm currently teaching, and I think Sharon is also. And so we've just been working either by conference call or, updating in docs, and so we've kept in touch with, and still we're doing research. We put feelers out for programs, mentoring programs that are up and running in the country. So we have some feelers out, and we've sent out emails to look to get some support from others that are operating programs kind of similar to what we're trying to do. We found a great program of this right in line with what we were talking about from our first meeting. For some reason, the program was developed over in Ethiopia, and then I had to get permission to even look at parts of it. Well, I've emailed several times, and it keeps kicking back. So I guess I'll just say for educational purposes that we have met the copyright restrictions. But we are still working diligently. But at this point, we would like to meet as soon as we can, really, with the committee, because we need to set timelines now. This is going to be a long process. We understand that it's not going to happen quickly. We do not want it to happen quickly. We want an effective program that's going to accomplish the goals and objectives that we have established. So I would implore the committee to please contact me so we can meet to establish a timeline. And see, we've set up the SMART goal, we're just missing the T. And without the T, we can't make steady, adequate progress. So with my last comment, I would ask the committee, Mr. Palmer, if you would contact the other committee members and see when we can schedule a meeting pretty soon so we can continue on to do the work that we have asked you to allow us to do. Thank you so much, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Now to the action. Was that the last one? Now the action items of our meeting. The minutes from the regular meeting held April 17th, 2017. Do I have a motion that the school board approves the minutes of the regular school board meeting held on April 17th, 2017?
So moved.
So moved.
I have a motion by Ms. Garner.
Second.
Second by Mr. Edwards. Roll call.
Mrs. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes. The bills. Do I have a motion that the school board approves the payment of the bills?
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee is recommending that the bills be paid as they were presented.
Madam Clerk, roll call.
Mrs. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes. Personnel. Do I have a motion that the school board approves the personnel recommendations?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Honeycutt, seconded by Mr. Palmer. Roll call.
Mrs. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes. Student matter, SM 2016-2017-05. Do I have a motion that the school board approves the superintendent's recommendation regarding the student matter?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Edwards, seconded by Ms. Bailey. Roll call.
Mrs. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes. In the matter of student matter 2016-2017-06, do I have a motion to table this?
Second.
I have a motion to table this item by Ms. Garner and seconded by Mr. Edwards. Roll call.
Mrs. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell? Mrs. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes. The 4-H Holiday Lake Agreement. Do I have a motion that the school board approves the Holiday Lake Agreement?
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion from Mr. Edwards, seconded by Mr. Honeycutt. Roll call.
Mrs. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes. The request for supplemental appropriations. Do I have a motion that the school board approves the request for supplemental appropriations for pupil transportation?
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee reviewed this request and is directing that we would honor it.
All right. We have the Finance Committee approval, so roll call.
Mrs. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer? Mr. Honeycutt?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes. The I Am Enough curriculum. This is there some discussion about this one? Did you want to?
It's just a matter that we brought it up before. I have checked. There is nothing that would cause us not to do it, but with the understanding that parents have the option to opt their children out
Okay,
from it.
so it is an optional program.
Yes.
All right, do I have a motion that the school board approves the I Am Enough curriculum?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. Bailey, a second from Mr. Honeycutt. Roll call?
Mrs. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer? Mr. Honeycutt?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes. Reminders, all we have on here is the regular school board meeting, June 19th.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, during the Finance Committee, we talked about a possible date we're going to need to meet to approve some requests for proposals that are coming in, and central office staff has suggested that we meet on June the 8th for that, and it is up to the board about whether we hold that early in the morning, midday, afternoon, at evening, what would be best for the board. So if you could all think about June 8th, which is a Thursday, I would prefer personally to try to get that done in the morning, or not another evening meeting.
All right, so we can discuss that.
Yes, we need to think about that June
All right.
8th time.
All right, so at some point there'll be a meeting for that.
We also need to take into consideration that the official vote on the budget will come from the Board of Supervisors after their public hearing, and we'll need to get together on May the 23rd for us to officially accept what they have given to us.
So next week.
Yes.
May the 23rd.
What day is that?
What, do we know what time?
That's a Tuesday.
Well, I
We
would
know it.
imagine that we.
We'll talk about what time that's going to be
Okay.
then. Is that going to be an evening?
Yes.
I'm not gonna make any day meetings, so y'all can have it.
All right, well, we can talk about that.
Also,
I have class that night. Yes, ma'am.
I know we're getting a little ahead, but July board meeting, they also have the conference in Richmond, and I don't know how many members will be going for the overnight.
Okay.
So you might have to consider moving the board meeting to Tuesday, like we did last year.
Okay, so be thinking about that, so next meeting we can decide, we can find out. I'll talk to you, Ms. Garner, about maybe what we did last time.
It's the
I'm
School
going.
Board
I'm going.
Association's Education
Yeah.
conference in the summer.
Yes.
Well, that's
But it's
what I
over at
asked.
3, so we can still have it that Tuesday night. It just postpone it one day.
To Tuesday night. All right, we can talk about that.
And
Anything
the
else?
last one that I'll just mention, as this is the time of year, we have to finish our bills and everything by the end of June, and so there will be a need for our special meeting right at the end of June so that we can finally pass all those. There again, we can talk about the best time, but
Okay. Any more meetings?
I got my sleeping bag.
All right, now, board member remarks. Can we start with you, Ms. Garner? Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to say I went to the band concert in South Hill the other night and thoroughly enjoyed it, so I'd like to congratulate Dr. Carter's band members. If you relay that to the band, that I thoroughly enjoyed it. Then, Ms. Dalton, I visited her school to watch the Destination Imagination. They did a fantastic job, and they are so excited about going to Knoxville. And I really think what they've got is a first place presentation. So good luck to them. And the rest of you, good luck. I know it's a hectic time at the end of the school year. What, 6.5 more days? Oh, you're not counting, though.
Mr. Johnson?
All I want to say is everybody have a happy summer. It's going to be here for just a few days. I know the teachers have to go a little bit longer than the students, but y'all be safe and have a good summer.
Ms. Bailey?
I don't have anything this evening.
Mr. Edwards?
The only thing I have is the board needs to start looking at, talking to the community and looking at things that we want to put in this new high school, middle school complex. Because the sooner we get a jump on the things that we want to do, the faster we can move. If we started today, we'd be 3 years, a year of planning. Once we hire an architect, a year of planning and 2 years to build a school. So that puts us 3 years plus all this waiting time to find a location now. So we're looking at 3.5 to 4 years. But if we don't come up with a list of things we want that we can hand to an architect when we hire one, then we're going to be sitting here having meetings for 6 or 8 months talking about things that we want to have in a school. We can be getting those things out of the way right now, and that way we've speeded the process up by 3 or 4 months. And
Okay.
if we can just start doing that.
That committee will handle that,
That's
too.
what I'm looking, if you have recommendations of people in the community to add to that, let me know.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, I'd just like to congratulate the teachers of the year, and especially the individual that took first place, I guess you could call it the teacher of the year, and all of the candidates or all of the students who came up and was recognized tonight. I am really, really appalled at the art that we have here. I'm looking over here now, and it's hard to believe how well these kids performed. And also, the last thing is teachers, I know, and principals, that this has been a long time coming, but the end is near, and you've done a wonderful job, and I want to thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Campbell?
I'm
Okay. Mr. Honeycutt?
I think what Mr. Palmer tried to say was,
in
awe and not appalled.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. I don't want anybody to throw you under the bus, Mr. Palmer. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. Thanks for everybody's hard work. Congratulations to all of the seniors who are getting ready to graduate. It's hard to believe that another school year is drawing to end, but just thank everybody for what you do. Thank you.
And I have no further comments, so I guess we need to go back into closed session.
Can we take a small recess?
Sure. I guess if we adjourn this meeting, and then we'll do it here, we can, yeah, we'll take a quick
Have a
5-minute break.
adjourn.
Yeah.
No, we can't adjourn.
Oh, we can adjourn.
We have to go back into closed session.
All right, so we'll take a little break, take a few-minute break, and then we're going to go back into closed session.
Thank you.
So.
We gotta go in.
Do recess, and then we come back and go.
We'll come back in
closed
here,
session.
and, oh, I see what you're saying.